on the theme of parenting, let's talk about this trend in parenting. It's growing in popularity, but it's also causing a little bit of controversy. So it's, pardon this, but it's called the F around and find out parenting style. The idea is to allow kids to feel the negative consequences of their actions when they choose not to listen to clear warnings and rules. Take a look.
To a different house because you don't want to come in because I want to sleep and you said no.
You're leaving to a different house because I won't let you sleep in our room?
Yeah.
See ya. And who are you going to sleep with? That's what I thought. Come on in.
I would love to read the comments under that post.
You know, there were plenty. With each new generation, you know, there are new ideas of best parenting practices. And this latest trend is a bit different from, as you saw, that gentle parenting trend. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Dr. Mary DeRade, a George Washington University clinical assistant, also professor of counseling and human development. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. You know, Al and I were talking about this. Both of us are moms. This may not be such a far cry from the way that many of us were raised, you know, what some might call that tough love. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so there's usually trends in parenting that kind of go back and forth between kind of permissive parenting and then a return to more kind of tough love, like you were saying. And this seems kind of like a rebound reaction to the gentle parenting movement. Although the gentle parenting movement is very misunderstood and really has leaned more toward kind of that permissive parenting approach.
All right, so Dr. DeRade, what we're talking about here is we saw the clip there, but things like, I don't want to wear a coat. Okay, let the child go out without a coat. You know, I don't want to do my homework. The next day they're in trouble. Where does it end though? With this trend, do parents then go like, just stick with me here, one round? I don't want to wear a coat. Well, if you don't wear a coat, you're going to be cold outside, and then you bail out. How is this really being put into practical use?
So I think we want to make sure that we're thinking about balance here, right? Because when we are saying to children, yes, you want to go outside, you don't want to wear your coat. I mean, realistically, this is a useful tool to use. They'll go outside, they'll get really cold, and eventually they will want to come in and get a coat on. But if you have a child that is doing something that is putting their life at risk or leaving them in severe danger of illness or hospitalization, some of the things that have been happening as a result of some of these social media posts, you want to use reason, right? That you don't want to just allow your child to wander down the road by themselves for hours on end because they didn't want to go to bed and so they're leaving, right? You want to be cautious, but allow them. It's okay. Children need to feel a little bit of discomfort. They need to learn. They learn from that. We are anti-fragile beings, meaning that we get stronger when we encounter challenges. And so having children have opportunities to learn bravery instead of just always being safe is what this approach to parenting is really kind of focusing on. Giving them brave spaces to learn to manage themselves and create an internal locus of control. So there's a value to it, but we also need to kind of balance it out with safety.
Yeah, and I think that is for some parents, you know, maybe the tricky part is finding that fine balance. Really interesting. I just want to ask you quickly, though, are there certain ages where you might find this to be less effective? You know, you're dealing with the younger kids, and then you got the tweens, and then the teenagers.
So I think it works really well in early childhood and young childhood, but honestly, as children get older and move into high school and beyond, then the consequences can get a lot more intense. The consequences for allowing a child to adolescent to just use drugs and face the consequences. Like, we don't want those consequences. We do need to set boundaries for children and adolescents, especially when the consequences could potentially have lifelong impacts for them.
Right, that's it. Yeah.
We're out of time, Dr. DeRade. you got to be careful with this. That first video that we saw with the little boy outside in the dark, you know, you got to be careful because you're not a mental health specialist and just how much you scar the kids too. Parenting is not easy. It is not easy. We'll just leave it with that. So thank you so much for your time. We really do appreciate it. What an interesting conversation today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, that's Dr. Mary DeRate. She's a clinical assistant professor of counseling and human development at GW.
And I'm glad you
So
bring
she
up
knows a
that
thing or
point
two
about that
that
video.
Right.
Because I was thinking to myself as I watched it, because that was my first time seeing it,
Yeah.
the long-term effects of
Right.
that. I get it. You're trying to prove a point. I understand that. But
Maybe not turn the light out on the kid. So if you missed
where's
it,
the balance?
If you missed it, the little boy, he's probably about three. He goes outside. He doesn't want to stay at the house because his mom won't let him sleep in bed. There it is right there. So he goes outside and she turns the light out and it's like dark
leave him to a
out
different
there
house 'cause I won't
and
let
he's
you sleep in the
crying.
Yeah.
And then she lets him back in because the trust thing at that age too.
That's right. The foundation of everything starts really young.
Absolutely. Look how dark
So,
it is. Yeah.
You know, I've found talking to them like little adults helps too.
Right.
Explaining things, walking them through the consequences of your actions, and helping them to understand with
Right.
words. I don't know.
And
That's
not that. A little bit more about this before we go. They're likening it to how, especially my generation, Gen X, and my parents were big softies, so whatever. But the Gen X generation, I think that the best thing to do in this, as a parent, what I would say is, no, you can't leave, and if you can't sleep in bed with us, and you also have to stay here because this is your home. Mommy and Daddy love you, and you can sleep in your own bed, and I'll sleep there with you instead.
oh,
Okay, 'cause
there's
I'm a
your
softie
balance.
too.